This is a news article that was posted a few days ago. It's on my blog site. I want to invite you guys to go to my blog site and check out the articles that I have written on there. Now, I'm going to start writing my own blogs on there on different topics, on different subjects. But I also want you guys to click on the donate button and donate and help out my blog. I want to also invite you guys to go to my Cannibal Lecter YouTube channel. This is the channel that I use to post videos on cannibalism and meat eaters and the poison that's in meats that we deliciously enjoy. Now, I say we because I still eat a little chicken and every now and then a little fish, but I don't eat too much meat nowadays, man, because it's poison. And I really don't think that our bodies were designed from the very beginning to eat meat. You know, I sit there and I think sometimes, and maybe I think too much, but when I watch shows on television like Animal Kingdom, and I sit back and I watch how the lions and all of the animals and how they just devour raw meat. They just devour that raw meat. They're just sitting there. They're scavengers, but yet we're more of a high class type of scavenger because we have to cook our meat. It's the same thing. We're eating animals. We're eating another live species, and we enjoy it. And it's weird because it's been like so long since I've eaten beef. So a family member had cooked some steak and she asked if I wanted some. So I just said, yeah, I'll try some. But usually when I eat that, I'll get sick because my body is not used to it, right? So I looked at it, and just the look of it made me nauseated to my stomach. And so I bit into it, and it just wasn't right. The texture of the meat wasn't right. I just didn't like it. And that only confirmed the fact that we should not be eating it. But in modern times, because of the fact that we're living in a demonic society, a satanic society, and this world now is being run and operated by demons. This world is run by the prince and the powers of the air. So we're behind enemy lines on every level. So that's why it's important for us to maintain a relationship with the Most High. Now, I didn't create this video to preach to you. My plan was not even to talk about this. So maybe someone needs to hear this. But you see the article. It's now legal for your meat to have trace amounts of fecal matter, doctors group says. Now these are doctors that's telling you that it's now legal to have feces in your meats. Now this is not new, because there's articles or videos on my Cannibal Lecter channel that confirms that it was always allowed a certain amount of feces and other poisons on your meat. The FDA, there's a whole list out there on the internet that tells you how many fly eggs are allowed on meats, because you know in those meat packing places there's flies, there's maggots, garbage worms, and so I'm sure that they take holes and wash that down, wash that meat down, but the bacteria, the poison still remains on the meats. And this is what they're feeding the people. And the people, like scavengers, are eating it. Yes, you may cook your food, but there's a large group of people out there, and even now so-called black people, that like their meat raw and medium raw. They want the taste of blood in their mouth, and they wonder why they act like animals. You wonder why they act like beasts. Because you are what you eat. So this is not new, because it's always been recorded that there's maggots, fly eggs, feces, fly legs that's allowed in tomato sauce. There's information out there to let you know what's in your food, but people don't care because the mindset is it's good. I'm still going to eat it. Just like if you tell someone about pork or swine or boars, because a boar is a pig, right? It's in that family. But people don't care. So that's the animal side of human beings. We're no better than the animal kingdom, because much of what we do and even how we think on that same level, much lower than being the spiritual beings that the Creator intended for us to be. Now, I'm not going to read the entire article because it is quite long. I'll just read a portion of it that says this product may contain feces. Now, what they tell you is, yes, it's got feces on it, but when you cook it at a certain temperature, it burns the bacteria and the feces off of it, so it's no longer a threat to your body, but it's still feces. And I've made videos talking about human feces and human meat that they're serving in the supermarkets. But because of the fact that we're living in a satanic society, they're not going to tell you or be truthful about what you eat. So they may serve you ground beef, or they may serve you steak, but they don't tell you that it is comprised of more than ground beef or steak, but you also have human flesh in there. You may have the flesh of rats, because we know in these rat packing places or these meat packing places, and maybe that was a Freudian slip, a rat packing place, where you have people that would prank you or perform they would not only prank you, but they will play tricks on you and say, you know what, let's kind of like grind up some rat meat in this meat. So they do it just to be, there's a term I want to use, but it's not really coming out, where people just do things spitefully. They do things just to do it as a kick. They're getting a kick. It's like the people that work in restaurants. And there's news articles about how they would spit on a pizza, or they would put their hands down their pants and rub it all on your meat. No pun intended. So there's people that do things for food spitefully, just because of the fact that they're in that position of authority where they have control over what you eat. So there's no doubt that in these meat packing places that someone may do a practical joke, which is not a joke, when they start cutting up other types of flesh comprised or mixed in the flesh that you eat. And the FDA don't know much about that business, so they approve it. It's okay because if you burn it or cook it at a certain temperature, it's going to burn off all the impurities. But what about those people that eat their meats raw or medium raw? And plus, they allow this because the more people that get sick until you die, the more money they make until you die. So they monetize you. The average human being is being monetized. On some level or another, you're being monetized until they can no longer make money off you. I've done videos in the past about population reduction. And this is a form of population reduction. So the article says this product may contain feces. That's the label that one consumer rights advocacy groups want for the government to require meat distributors to put on the food they send out to grocery stores. The recommendation is tongue-in-cheek. Deborah Press, the attorney for the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, tells CNN. Now, I don't trust CNN. That's fake news media. The group represents 12,000 physicians whose mission includes promoting plant-based diets and ethical scientific research. Don't be deceived by that, because they're in the position of physicians to make money. So they manipulate your mind. Keep in mind, we're living in a satanic society. So they're not going to be truth. They're going to put out information that it may sound good. And it may sound like they care about you. But on the flip side, they want to prescribe to you medication, and they want you coming to them because that's how they make money. You'd be surprised at the number of medical doctors that's in colleges right now. You'd be surprised how many of those are foreigners that don't even like Americans. But yet, America is the place of opportunity. This is their way of getting rich or becoming wealthy. And they take that money and send it back to their own country, helping their own country out. And you wonder why these other countries are growing and America is losing power. Babylon the Great is falling because America is doing things that no other country or no other nation is doing. And those other nations will help the Americans, the dumb Americans, to destroy itself. Because they hear you, they sit back, they watch, they observe, and they join right in with the millennials that have no clue of what's going on, and they're helping you in your ignorance to destroy yourself and your family. It says, but it gets at real concern the PCRM has about the U.S. Department of Agriculture Food Safety Inspection System. The U.S. Department of Agriculture has a zero-tolerance policy for fecal matter on meat and poultry, a spokeswoman told CNN. The USDA said it sends inspectors out to facilities who look at a statistically valid sample of carcasses. Look at the words that they're using. A carcass is a dead body randomly selected throughout the production shift. Now, if they were so concerned about what's in the meats, or if they had such a zero tolerance policy, how is it that we have cases where people are getting sick from meats that slip through the system? That don't sound like a zero tolerance to me. But it says if inspectors find fecal matter or fecal material on an animal carcass, they ensure that the contaminated meat can't enter the food supply, USDA said. And if inspectors observe repeat infractions, the FSIS uses progressive enforcement actions, whatever that may be, against the meat company. But press says USDA's current inspection policy isn't good enough because it only applies to fecal matter that's visible on the product line. And the USDA has relaxed its rules on the speed at which poultry companies can process birds. The requirements used to be 140 birds per minute, but has since been raised to 175 birds per minute. This is what you're eating. And I know for me to say that, people are saying like, well, what do you think a turkey is? What do you think chicken is? Or what do you think this is? Yes, but that only goes to prove that we're no different than the animal kingdom. In the satanic world, we're scavengers. And many of us don't look at ourselves as scavengers because we're high class scavengers, meat eaters, that if you're put in a certain position, you will eat your loved one. There's a movie that was out, and I'm going to end this video, and you can go, I'm going to put the link to this on the bottom, and you can go and check it out for yourself. I'm also going to put a link to my Cannibal Lecter YouTube channel, and I want you guys to go there and subscribe, and also like the videos and share them. But there was a movie that came out a while ago titled Alive. And if I can remember correctly, they had these people that were mountain climbing. Very cold mountain, way up in the mountain somewhere, you know, so there was the ice, but people died. They got stranded, and the people that were with them, their friends and possible lovers, some died off. They ran out of food. They resulted to cannibalism. They started eating themselves to survive. Could you eat your loved one, your son, your daughter, your baby, to save your own life? Or would you just say, you know what? I refuse to subject myself to cannibalism. So yeah, there's people with the mindset that, well, self-preservation, so we have to survive, and then once we get back to civilization, I no longer have to do that. But you still have a taste for that. You've crossed that barrier. You now have an acquired taste of a cannibal. But it says, and I'm ending on this note, that would mean those working on the line are scanning about 3 birds per second. They're whizzing by at a rate that's hard for the naked eye to comprehend. In other words, they're missing stuff. Stuff is slipping through the cracks. So I guess that does it for the zero tolerance. But I'm going to put the article at the bottom. I'm going to also put a link to Cannibal Lecter website. I want you to go there and subscribe. Also click on the donate button and support this channel and this blog page on my YouTube channel. There's a link on the bottom where you can click PayPal and support the channel, or Teesprings, buy a t-shirt or a hat or what have you. But feedback, tell me what you think. Until next time, I'm fearless.